Much to my surprise, many years after we had all exited the 90s, I began to hear rumors of a planned Jurassic Park television series that never came to fruition. A show that was actually well into production and even had a trailer constructed specifically for Steven Spielberg to view and give the go-ahead to work on. As it turns out though, Spielberg never watched the trailer, feeling tired of all of the Jurassic Park exposure the entire decade would eventually develop. Being a little kid back then, it was impossible to go anywhere without somebody talking about that movie. It was the highest grossing film of all time. It won 3 Academy Awards, and it was a favorite amongst adults as well as children like myself. Now that I'm older, I question why the show was never made, and was eventually cancelled. Why not capitalize off of the success of the biggest movie ever made with more stuff for people to enjoy? It doesn't take long to determine that this show would probably have conflicted with the construction of the inevitable sequel Jurassic Park would get, and in 1997 we were all treated to The Lost World Jurassic Park, an incredibly different film with an almost completely new cast save Goldblum and Attenborough. Lex and Tim show up, but only briefly. Lost World would prove to be a gigantic hit as well, raking in a colossal amount of cash and having the biggest opening for a sequel ever back then. It was clear that the route of the film sequel was the right move in my opinion, as it brought new layers to the brand and expanded its universe further with several different foundational elements that crafted a film set after the events and progression of its predecessor, and as such, broke ground for further installments to be made. This Jurassic Park TV series became an urban legend, however, and we haven't gotten too many details about it up until quite recently. Apparently, the show was meant to be just as much for adults as it was for children, and would feature an art style similar to that of a graphic novel. The show would feature virtually everyone from the original film, including Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, Ellie Sattler, John Hammond, and even Lex and Tim, obviously taking place after the events of the original movie. The Jurassic Park television series would no doubt be centered around the care and study of these animals now that John Hammond's dream of a dinosaur theme park is dead. Not much is known about the progression of the series or what formula the episodes would try to adopt, whether they would be small standalone adventures, 30 minutes long, or an overarching story that plays itself out as the series progresses. One interesting bit of information that has been revealed is that the dinosaurs featured within the show would be partially inspired by Michael Crichton's novel instead of the film. For example, Tim Murphy apparently takes on a pet pterodactylus named Terry. No flying reptiles were featured in the first film, and this little creature seems inspired from Crichton's Pterodactylus, present in the first book. Another tie-in with the novel was the inclusion of the dinosaurs Hypsilophodon and Compsognathus, neither of which appeared in the original film from 1993. Other dinosaurs to be included in this show were the famous Brachiosaurus, a Plesiosaurus, Pteranodon and Geosternbergia, Triceratops, Tylosaurus, and Velociraptor. Interestingly, I can't find any still images or information as to whether or not the show would include the iconic Tyrannosaurus Rex. One would assume it would be a no-brainer, but I really can't seem to locate any such evidence. The man behind this animated show happens to own a copy of the trailer and actually cites it as one of his personal favorite dinosaur films. When he was contracted to take part in the production of the show, he says that the eventual series would be heavy in traditional animation, as well as CG. I'm not sure exactly how this would look, but I'm going to assume it would be some sort of mix between a realistic approach to hand-drawn animation akin to a lifelike Disney in the 90s, and possibly the computer graphics of a show like Beast Wars. The show's illustrator and biggest influence is named William Stout, and his work is quite extensive and easily accessible after a quick Google search. All in all, I am somewhat saddened that this show never came to pass. It would have been an instant hit, and I would have been all over it every time a channel played an episode. I do love The Lost World though, and I can't imagine what the franchise would be like without that film in its series. Maybe someday this old concept will get revived, and given the green light it so rightfully deserves. After Jurassic World, anything is possible. In the future, I've got a ton of videos planned, and if you're interested in checking out more of them, make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date. If you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you left me a like. As always guys, take it easy.